This episode of the Havery Show is being brought to you by Heartland Tax and Accounting, 863-385-5020. The following program is rated PG-13 and contains language and material that may be offensive to some audiences. On today's episode of the Havery Show, we have a local businessman and entrepreneur who's really making a mark, not only in downtown Sebring, but also all over Highlands County. I've had the privilege over the last couple of years of getting to know this guy a little bit better, and I can call him my friend now, which I count as a privilege too. Don Davies.
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How the heck are you?
I'm wonderful.
It's good to have you here. Thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
What brings you to Sebring?
Sebring in general,
Yeah.
you know, I was fortunate enough to get a building from the CRA,
Yeah.
and I'm a Lake Placid boy and really didn't know anything about Sebring and had to come up here and immerse myself and get going with the CRA, and we built out a building on the circle.
You're a Lake Placid Green Dragon, born and raised?
My grandparents, my grandfather used to camp on Lake June over 100 years ago.
100 years ago.
So we've been around for a long time.
My goodness. And the old drugstore, the old Gilbert's Drug, that came available?
Yes, the CRA was struggling with getting businesses to come downtown and stay downtown and be viable. And apparently they were offering grants, and people would grab the grant money and hang out for a couple months and leave with what was left, you know, drywall over the termite damage.
Uh-huh.
And somebody figured out in the CRA that they could go and pay a fair price for a building, make sure it's safe to be occupied, you know, no lead paint, no asbestos, and good power. And then they have people come in and you formally fill out a request for proposal. And we did, and we were awarded the building.
I'll be darned. Well, it's a good thing for downtown because that has become really a centerpiece and a magnet for downtown.
That's correct. We've been open 2.5 years, so things are coming along. You know, we're happy with everybody else getting open and getting going, because I promise you don't want to be the only used car lot on the road.
That's a fact. And it's not competition. It's choice, and it's having different options. And that's only a good thing. As somebody comes down to Sophie's, they take a walk around the circle and bam, oh, well, look at that place. That's the 3. Well, let's go in there and have a drink. You know, oh, they have burgers. Let's come back here for lunch tomorrow. It's just a good thing for everybody.
Right. And right now what we're kind of facing is the re-education of citizens.
Yeah.
And get them to break their old habits. And we actually talked about this with a couple of people over the weekend. Break the old habits.
Yeah.
And make downtown Sebring your new habit.
Yeah, I like that. That's a T-shirt.
Yep.
You should trademark that.
Well, we've started, particularly Brouhaha started a social media campaign to try to cause people to think differently.
I think it's a great idea.
You know, because if you've always gone to a certain place after work every day, it takes a little bit for somebody to say, hey, let's go somewhere else.
So, we get into our comfort zones and we like what we like, and it's hard to break from that. I'm no different. But yeah, we've got so many good choices on the circle and in downtown in general, so many. And your Brouhaha's, they're burgers. I mean, your burgers are like unbelievable.
Well, and I was very fortunate. I met the Brouhaha people. They also own Dock 633 in Lake Placid.
Yep.
And before then, they had a food truck. And they traveled the country. And when I say the country, Washington, Oregon, Michigan, Colorado. So they had a lot of opportunities to go to wineries and breweries and distilleries and observe those kind of operations and offer food that worked in that environment.
Yes.
So you roll ahead, they always, in the wintertime, they always came to Florida. And because Bill's wife, Hillary, her parents live here, so they always came down here. And they were actually, during the COVID year, they were lined up to go to the 12 Hours of Sebring.
Mm-hmm.
And in the precursor to that, they flew in 7 family members, I believe. They had rented a big house on Lake June. And as we all know, the race got canceled.
Yep.
And they were within 10 minutes of unloading $10,000 worth of food, getting ready to go to the racetrack. And thank God we didn't take it off the truck. So it got turned away. And we stayed open with them out at the distillery.
Yep.
And, we had a good time. We made hand sanitizer and fed people.
That's fantastic.
And so Leap Ahead, they did well enough. They ended up buying Dock 633.
Okay.
And then we needed them at the 301. So I talked them into coming up there, and they spent, I know, 2 months designing the menu.
Oh, I believe it.
And I sat in on one meeting that they had with their food purveyor, and every one of their burgers is specific and has a specific bun.
Yeah.
So that they get the taste and the texture and the look that they want. So that type of food does not happen by accident.
It does not. And I'll tell you this. Before I took one bite of any food from Brouhaha's, I knew they meant business by their logo. That logo, I knew the food was going to be good before I tasted it because that logo meant business.
Well, they do a wonderful job. And I had a former restaurant guy who was a partner in there, and he was doing Italian food, and him and his wife were not cut out for that work. And when they left there, they left on a Saturday night, and Brouhaha's came in that Monday morning. They'd already had their menus fixed on the point of sale system. They knew exactly what they were going to do, and by noon that day, they were serving food.
It's fantastic.
So they're highly organized.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can tell. Dock 633.
Yes.
That used to be the clam bake?
It used to be the clam bake.
Okay.
That's an old building.
Yes,
it's
it is.
And actually that operation is older than Jackson's.
Yeah.
And I think back in the day it was called originally it was the Karama Lodge.
Okay.
Which is Carl and Amanda.
I did not know that.
Yeah, the Karama Lodge, and I think it had another building in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And we can all speculate what that building was for. But, then after the Karama Lodge, it was Kitty and Joe's for years.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
For years and years and years.
Yep.
And I don't know, it's probably 5 or 6 names in there, but Dock 633's been operating the way they are right now for 15 years.
Oh, yeah.
So they've got their share of customers.
I was out there playing. You kind of brought me a flashback. I was out there playing when I was about 11 or 12 years old, when it was Kitty and Joe's. And Herschel Massey came in with his wife. He's from Avon Park. I didn't know who he was, but he came up to me when I was done playing, and he said, "Son, you're pretty good, but you need some better equipment." And he gave my folks his address, and the next day we went over to his place, his garage, and he gave me a Fender guitar amplifier.
Okay.
And he gave me a red Epiphone ET270 electric guitar and a microphone and my first distortion pedal. And the stuff that I had been playing through was pretty crappy. And for that man to give me equipment like that took it to a whole different level for me. And I'll never forget that kindness. But that happened at Kitty and Joe's.
Wow.
And then back in late 80s, 88, right around give or take 87, 88, I sang out there when it was the clam bake.
Okay.
And that was always fun. And I remember, I used to play 8 to 11, something like that, or 7 to 11. And then this is when I was early married to Dawn and early in her marriage. And I just pray for that extra hour. Yeah, I hope there's enough people in the bar, and then they hire me for another hour, and then I hope there's enough people in the bar, and they hire me another hour. Sometimes I wouldn't get out of there till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, but man, it was great playing out there. That was fun.
Yeah, those places, that and Jackson's just down the street from them. Those two operations do really well between the two of them. They have about 120 years of legacy there.
Yes.
And I know Jackson's, it's on its 4th generation customer.
Yep, that's right.
And so you got to do a good job, but you got to have those legacy, repeatable,
Yes,
local customers.
yeah, and I think that's what you're developing here.
Well,
I think this is. I think generations from now, people will be having the same conversations about. Oh yeah, when Don brought this in, it was a change, a big game changer.
right. And I'll be here for a while.
Oh yeah,
I probably won't see the fruits of what happens, because we can talk about this 30 or 40 years from now.
right.
It isn't going to happen next week,
Yeah,
but it's going to be off in the future. And the Circle 3 years ago was an absolute ghost town.
it really was.
And it was interesting, and
Yep.
we took the big leap
Yep.
along with some other people, and you go down there during the evenings, and it's full. There's a lot of people moving around, looking to see what we do, deciding where they're going to eat.
Absolutely. This episode of the Havery Show is being brought to you by Heartland Tax and Accounting, 863-385-5020. As someone who grew up here, spent my whole life here, I've never lived more than 3 miles from this spot. I grew up in this house right next door, then moved over to the Indian Streets when I got married. When me and Dawn got married, we lived on Stenawahi, and then we bought the old Ferguson home on Oak and Eucalyptus. So this has been home my whole life. So it is very interesting. And I don't know if you remember this or not, but when I first took over at the Circle Theater, when I became the manager, I came over to your place when you were just starting.
I remember that.
To pick your brain on stuff and to get advice from you about my liquor beer and wine license and all that stuff. And you gave me some good advice. I ended up getting the actual license, but you had some good workarounds that I could have used. But I ended up going and getting the actual license. And I remember walking around Sebring. I've even got a Facebook Live video somewhere where I'm walking around the circle talking about how there's no reason why Sebring can't be mentioned in the same breath as Mount Dora or St. Augustine or any of these other historic cities. And guess what? Here we are.
Yep, we're headed in the right direction.
That's right, we are. It's wonderful.
So it's nice. We're co-producers. I'm more than just friends with all our people around there that have the different restaurants.
That's right.
And on a first name basis, talk to them almost every day.
Yep.
Usually have a drink or two with them wherever we are.
Yep.
So it's all good. There's I consider everybody to be a co-producer.
Yeah.
We're all trying to grow the pie bigger.
That's right.
And we're not after a bigger piece. We just need the pie to grow.
Yes. I can attest to all this on a first-hand basis. So the first thing that showed me that you were a team player is when you and Brandy and Mark and Bob and Tiff showed each other's logos on each other's buildings. And I thought that was one of the coolest things I'd ever seen. That was fantastic in and of itself. But I'll be in there at Gavigan's on a Wednesday night doing my Irish show. You'll come in and just sit at the bar and have a drink. When I'm playing, a lot of the times, if the weather is decent, you'll open the door and people on the balcony at Gavigan's get free music from you. It's really cool the way that you guys are all working together.
Well, I love, 10, 11 o'clock at night, you walk along, and as you get closer to one of the places, you'll hear the music coming out of there, and you walk a little further, and it blends together.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you realize, oh, I'm listening to something else.
That's right.
And it's not loud and obnoxious, but it certainly gives you a different vibe when you can hear all the activity and all the music and everybody's got a little bit different operation,
Yeah.
and you can find something that agrees with you.
Yeah. It is so cool. And I have a great vantage point from the stage when I'm playing in your place, because I can look over to my right and I watch people come out of the Roanoke, out of Gavigan's. I watch them and they'll turn their head like this, and then they'll look over at your place.
Yep.
And they'll walk over, and you can see they're kind of listening, and then they'll point, and then they come over, they have a drink, and then they're on their way. People come over and say, "Hey, we were on the balcony, we heard the music next door." And I know that's happening with all the bands that you bring in there. It's really cool.
Well, yeah, when that building was a drugstore, so it has huge plate glass windows all the way across the front.
So cool.
And we made the decision that we wanted to put the stage in the front glass.
Yeah.
A la Key West or
Yeah.
Nashville.
Yep.
And so that stage was deliberately built to draw people in.
A genius move.
It seems to be
Genius move.
Because what I like to do when a band is playing is I go outside and shoot video through the glass, usually behind the drummer or the lead guitar, but you get a whole different perspective. Now you're seeing what the band sees.
Yeah.
And there's not very many places that you could get behind the band and see what they're seeing. So that's always really a unique thing that you're able to sit there and eat dinner and see what the band sees.
Yeah, very cool. Those tables out front, right in front.
Absolutely.
Exactly what you're talking about. That perspective is something that not many people ever get to see.
Right.
And almost every morning, I come to work, and the first thing I do is I try to take a walk around the circle just to kind of get my head clear and to, get in a good place for the day. And I've been really watching with interest over the last few months, watching that deck get built.
Well, yeah, the deck is an interesting animal.
Yeah.
We had that building's completely closed in. We have a few tables outside on the sidewalk, but we felt like we needed to be offering a little bit of outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
And we had an area behind the building that was useless as a parking lot because power poles and oak trees are in the way. We're like, let's build a deck here.
Yeah.
And it's turning out a little better than I thought it was going to.
Holy moly, the way you built that deck. It's all steel construction. It's built like Fort Knox. I've watched this from day one when you guys started cutting into the asphalt to put the pillars in. I've watched this from day one, and you are not scrimping on construction. This thing's going to be there forever.
Well, I hope so. Number one, I don't want to have to work on it again 5 years from now.
You won't have to.
The wood rotted or something.
Right.
And the other thing that I really felt an obligation to the building itself, because you go in there and you can see the original construction and how well that building is built. Yeah. I felt that I had a responsibility to build a deck that matches up with what the building is.
Yeah.
And because I'll be long gone, and if somebody wants to tear that out, good luck.
Good luck.
So that's what we did. We wanted it to be basically maintenance free and to be of the quality that the building is.
Yeah. Mission accomplished.
I hope so.
Yeah. So you're going to put market lights out there?
Yeah.
What are you going to do with that?
We'll have market lights.
Yeah.
And we're going to have some micro jets for the fans.
Nice.
We're really lucky where that deck is most of our utilities, so we can grab natural gas.
Yep, that's
and
right.
We'll have some really nice fire pits that we're going to scatter around because the deck, of course, is raised, and we can get right under there and put gas lines in exactly where we need to be.
Yeah.
The north side of that deck is the rest of our parking lot, but we are going to put hops trellises in. So
nice.
back to my guy from Brouhaha's, his mother still lives in Washington State, and her husband grows hops.
I'll be darned.
So we're going to get some of his cuttings, and we're probably going to ship down here maybe 1,000, 2,000 pounds of Washington State dirt. So we will plant those in a planter.
Yeah.
And hopefully they'll grow a little bit.
Yeah.
And we'll have to deal. The reason hops aren't grown in Florida is that the nights aren't long enough.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you go to Washington State this time of the year, it's 20 hours of daylight.
Sure.
And that's what hops has to have to cause them to bloom and grow and do all their stuff.
Gotcha.
But the University of Florida has done a lot of work with hops to try to grow it in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, you can argue about whether it's good or bad or indifferent. But and they have published papers that and it states what color wavelength of light you need for how long.
Yes.
With the advent of LEDs,
Yes.
now all of a sudden you can get the correct wavelength.
That's right.
And you know exactly how long it needs to be exposed to the plant. So it's a little computer-driven program.
Yeah.
And in theory, I believe you can get 2 crops a year.
Ain't that something?
You know, as opposed to 1. Now, whether the hops are any good or not, I'm sure that will be a point of contention, but we can get it pretty close if we're growing Washington State hops and Washington State dirt in Florida. We'll see what we get.
That's awesome. How much material do you need in hops to make a batch of beer?
You need just an ounce or 2.
Really?
It is now that we make very small batches. We have it's called a nano distillery,
Okay.
or a brewery. It is that small, and it takes just
nano is smaller than micro.
Correct.
You have breweries, you have micro breweries, you have nano breweries.
Nano breweries, and this is probably one of the smallest commercial systems there is.
I'll be darned.
And we make 1 barrel at a time, which is 2 regular beer kegs.
Wow.
And, of course, we run 2 batches back to back because the cleanup takes time, but we can double batch it. And that's what we do. And it does not take a lot of hops. Hops is a pretty powerful ingredient.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on how you do it, that's where you get the hoppiness and the bitterness from in beer is from the hops.
So do you, on the hops trellis, will you have enough hops to be able to make batches, and will it? But you said only 2 a year, right? Only 2 batches a year.
The hops, and I don't have the yield handy. I don't even have it handy in my head.
Mm-hmm.
But it's upwards of hundreds of pounds.
I'll be darned.
Per acre. I mean, you could get almost get a ton to the acre.
That's a lot of beer.
That's a lot of beer. It's yeah, because you don't use much, and hops is basically a weedy vine,
right?
And it really likes to grow. So we'll have plenty of hops.
Well, just from coming to mind now, you've got your place, but you've also got Turn 2, and you've got Wet Dogs, and I would think that those guys would be interested in having locally grown hops to add to their repertoire.
Well, I hope so, because it's important that we start recognizing what Florida is able to grow and what we're able to produce in agriculture.
Yeah.
Beer's not under any constraints yet as to where you're able to source your materials.
Mm-hmm.
The distilleries, if you're a craft distiller, in 2026, 60% of our inputs, or it depends on how you read the statute, but there's a large percent of ingredients that need to be from Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Because the state wants to promote what we grow and what we produce. So the distillers are up against sourcing Florida material.
Yeah. This pops into my head, and I know this is crazy, but every Wednesday, Dawn goes over to the prop shed at the ag center, and it's propagation for these plants. She's a master gardener, and they do incredible things with propagation. And I've watched all these videos where you can take a sprig that has the root of this and graft this over to it, and it becomes a hybrid. And I'm just, in my mind, I know this is ridiculous because I'm not smart, but I wonder, is there a way to take hops, Washington State hops, and do something to combine a citrus element like oranges or tangerines through grafting? Could that come up with a hybrid?
I think they fall into families genetically that are too separate, too far apart.
Got it.
Because the trees have a circulation just below the root or just below the bark, and I don't think hops moves nutrients around that way.
Gotcha. It's kind of like trying to breed a dog and a cat. I can see how that.
Well, you can try, but it doesn't work out.
Okay.
Somebody's not happy in that situation.
Oh, I'm sure. This episode of the Havery Show is being brought to you by Heartland Tax and Accounting. 863-385-5020. You brought up Sugarsand. When did you acquire and take over that place and turn it into what it is?
All right, Sugarsand Distillery is a craft distillery, and that is a specific license that I have from the state of Florida, and it limits how many gallons of alcohol I can produce a year.
Mm-hmm.
It limits the ownership, that it can't be owned by a big distiller.
Yep.
I don't have to worry about Jack Daniels coming and buying me out to get into the craft market. So it's has limited scope.
Yeah.
And it's out on Hen Scratch Road, and there's 10 acres there, and we had it was a little boutique mixed orange grove there.
Mm-hmm.
And of course Greenie took care of it. We tried to bring the trees back in 2010, and we just couldn't do it, so we let the grove side of it go and roll around to a couple things happened. The state of Florida realized that we had a lot of dead orange grove, and that was probably harboring some diseases.
Mm-hmm.
So they came up with a program that if you remove your dead orange trees and destroy them, burn them, the property appraiser will let you keep your ag exemption for 5 more years without producing anything on the property.
That's good incentive.
That's a pretty good incentive. That gives you time to figure out what you want to do without harboring disease.
Mm-hmm. So
I'm like, all right, that's good to know. Let me just store that. I probably knew that back in 2014, 15, because that gives you, as an agricultural operator, special exemptions and different things you're able to do on that property.
Yeah.
So I remember the night. It was March 31st of 17, and I was at dinner with our families, and we were just talking about stuff, and I said, I think we ought to open a craft distillery.
Just out of the blue?
Well, just out of the blue. I had distilled a little bit with a 5-gallon still, which is not legal. And so I had learned about that.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, we were talking about possibly planting sugarcane out there to sell as ornamental.
Okay.
All right. So now we're going to take the ag land that's out there. It's got irrigation. We'll turn it into a sugarcane nursery.
Mm-hmm.
And then it occurred to us that we could harvest this cane and squeeze it, and it will ferment, and you can make really good rum out of it.
Yep.
So that's why I said, let's open a craft distillery. And it took us 53 weeks. We opened 53 weeks after we said, let's open a craft distillery.
That is blazingly fast.
It was unbelievably fast. And to keep that in the timeline, we were self-financed. Nobody wanted to invest. So we were self-financing, and we built it out, and we hired no attorneys and no consultants and no accountants and no engineers. It was what we could figure out. So that's what we did. And we actually built that distillery without anybody knowing we were doing it. And I'm No permits, no nothing. And
You sure you want to say all this?
I have no problem saying it. No permits.
Okay.
Because back to my original statement, we're ag exempt.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Florida statutes allow us to operate under the canopy of the state,
Okay.
and the local jurisdiction, which is Highlands County,
Mm-hmm.
are not allowed to say anything.
I gotcha. Okay. So you're under state jurisdiction.
I'm under
because
state
you're in
because
state
it's
of Florida,
agriculture
agriculture and agrotourism.
and agritourism.
Okay.
So that's what we do. And when we had to have the county sign off on our alcohol license when we were applying for it,
Mm-hmm.
and they pushed back, and I was like, you can't.
Mm-hmm.
And it took them about a week, and they figured out, yeah, you're right. We don't have any control over you.
Mm-hmm.
So they signed it, and we got our alcohol licenses. So we're building this thing. It would have been in 17.
Yeah.
And in August, we were ready to get our federal permit. Okay, you have a state license, and there's a federal permit.
Okay.
And they are independent of each other,
Mm-hmm.
and they have nothing to do with each other. So we filed for our federal permit, and the feds are kind of cool. They say, you can expect this process to be 160 to 180 days.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, good. That'll give us time to get this thing going.
Yeah.
And we filed, and pretty quickly, in the next day or two, they asked us, I think, 2 questions.
Mm-hmm.
And we answered them, and we're like, okay. We didn't hear anything else. We're like, all right, the clock can tick now. We got 180 days, no big deal, and we'll be all happy. 8 days later, we got an email, and it says, your online permit is approved.
Wow. 8 days.
It was 11 days total. 11 total. We had our federal permit.
How
And
about that?
but that I also put the little illegal still was also listed on as equipment. So it's legal to have it in the distillery.
I'll be darned.
But the thing that happened was that was Friday, and if you all remember, I think Hurricane Irma was a Saturday storm.
Yes, it was.
It was the next day.
Oh, man.
And it was not kind to the distillery.
Mm-hmm.
And so that slowed us down. And I'm like, God, I hope nobody comes out here to look at this place because it was a disaster. Yeah. But that's what we did. So we got open.
Yeah.
We started off making rum.
Yep.
Because you make rum from sugarcane. And I thought we would be a rum distillery.
Mm-hmm.
And be a true artisan rum distillery. And then as it didn't take a couple of weeks and realized we were going to be broke selling rum.
I would think this is more of a whiskey.
Well, it is.
Area.
So rum is the one spirit that has not gone through its renaissance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you think about all the vodkas,
yep,
has gone through its renaissance. The whiskeys have.
Mm-hmm.
The tequila,
mm-hmm.
Tequilas have. All of a sudden, tequila's a big deal.
Yep.
And the one that's left is rums.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the meantime, until somebody figures out rum's pretty good, well, we said we better do something else. So we started making our version of a whiskey.
Uh-huh.
And it's not a whiskey because it's got sugarcane in it.
Got it.
So it falls in a nondescript category, and we call it moonshine. So, if you're making moonshine, people liken it to something that's so strong I'll never be able to drink it.
Sure.
And we've learned to make it pretty smooth.
Yeah.
Well, if you make pretty smooth moonshine, clear shine, a white dog,
Uh-huh.
you can do a lot of things with it. And that rolls into our apple shine and watermelon and whatever else.
Yeah.
But we do take that shine and we buy new American barrels, white oak, out of Kentucky.
Wow.
So we actually bring 6 bourbon barrels down at a time
Mm-hmm.
from Kentucky, and we put our moonshine in it.
Yep.
And most of them are at least in there for at least 5 years.
No kidding.
Yep. So we're 5 years, and our rum is now, some of it is 6 years in the barrel. So we take our white rum and we turn it into a dark rum.
No.
And it's mellowed
Yeah.
by the oak.
Ain't that something?
Yeah, so that's the rum and the moonshine, if you will.
Wow. Okay. So wow, you want to have a brewery. You want to produce this stuff, and you start on day one, and you got to wait 5 years for your product to be ready and to be aged and to be mellowed.
Some of it, a lot of it, is things that we did over 5 years ago.
Wow.
And it is not for the faint of heart because growing a crop of cane takes 1 year.
Oh, wow. So now you're at 6 years.
So now I'm at 6 years. So whatever I spent 6 years ago will come back to me this year, next year. So it is a little interesting.
Yeah.
So that's rum and the moonshine, our version of whiskey. The next step would be, of course, vodka.
Mm-hmm.
And we make our vodka. Our equipment is capable of it. And we make a pretty pleasant vodka. It is not that harsh, just god-awful, smells like rubbing alcohol, because you can't sell it.
Yeah.
When you have to, and we make a couple of things, lemon vodka, jalapeno vodka, and then we make a gin.
Mm-hmm.
And gin, in my mind, rates up there with vodka as something that I'm probably going to avoid. So we're like, all right, what are we going to do with gin? How are we going to make a drinkable gin? So we add botanicals to it.
Ah.
So we make a very...
lavender and that type of thing?
Yeah, that type of
Okay.
thing. And so we make a very drinkable gin. And when you go to these craft distilleries now, you will almost always see a gin with a color to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is because they're putting botanicals in there
Got it.
to make a pretty notorious spirit drinkable. And so we talked about tequila a second ago. Tequila can only be made in Mexico, in 7 states in Mexico.
Really?
There's only 7 states, and it is protected. So you cannot make tequila in the United States.
I'll be darned.
You know,
So you have to make a version of it.
You have to make a version of it. And then that just opens the door to a little skullduggery.
Uh-huh.
And will be forever explaining to people, this is like tequila, but it's not tequila.
Uh-huh.
And I made this decision that I wasn't going to fight that fight. And we spent 14 months dealing with the federales down in Mexico, and we got a permit to move bulk tequila up here to the United States.
No kidding.
And part of that is I'm allowed to use the word tequila.
I'll be.
So we have Don Juan's tequila on the shelf.
Ain't that something?
That's quite interesting, and the little nerve-wracking because it's a IBC total, it's 200 or 500 liters, whatever they call it, and it got hung up at the border, and you just wonder, you know, am I going to get what I'm supposed to get? Is somebody draining that tote and putting water back in it?
What? I wonder.
And I was happy when it got delivered, and it was as promised.
Mm-hmm.
So that gives us vodka, gin, rum, our version of whiskey, moonshine, and tequila.
So you got all the staples are they're all
there, and because we at both locations operate as a tasting room. Hopefully we sell bottles, but we're also allowed to sell cocktails,
mm-hmm.
which is really the end game, to get it in a glass.
Yeah.
And we're able to do that, but you have to have enough variety of different spirits to be hopefully legitimate.
Sure.
And be able to we can get almost everybody satisfied, one way or the other.
Yeah.
We talk to you, the girls are trained,
mm-hmm.
and you tell them what you like to drink, and they will make you a pretty nice cocktail.
Yeah. This episode of The Havery Show is being brought to you by Heartland Tax and Accounting, 863-385-5020. You got a good thing going on out there. The band's played out there for you a couple times, and we've enjoyed it immensely because there's a good vibe at your place out at Sugarsand.
Yes.
There really is. It's a very laid back, come as you are. You have people pulling up in cars. You have people that are just out riding on ATVs and whatnot, and they just show up whether they drink or not. I have no idea because I'm not anybody's policeman.
Right.
But it's just cool to see such a variety of different people come into your place. It's really cool.
Yeah. Well, the distillery is, we're probably one of the few distilleries in all of North America that the sheriff kind of looks the other way, and people come on their side-by-sides to the distillery.
Yeah.
You know, these are grown adults with their friends out riding around at night, and they're not causing any harm.
They're residents.
They're residents. They all live out in that area, and the cool thing is they're able to stop by the distillery.
Yep.
And we have a fairly large stage.
It'd be a huge stage.
You know, well, it's mobile.
Yeah, that's right.
Because of some of the Florida laws don't allow us to build permanent buildings because it's an ag operation.
That's right.
Not a venue company.
Mm-hmm.
Now we can act like a venue company, but we can't build buildings specific for
you
people.
You don't need to with a stage like that.
It works very, very well for us.
You know, you're talking to a band that has played in areas, you know, not much bigger than this carpet right here. And for the first time I went out there and saw that stage, I was like, "You gotta be kidding me! It's huge. It swallows us up as a little 4-piece band. It's great. You could put any size band you wanted to out there.
Well, it came with enough equipment, enough extra stage panels that you can put a full orchestra there.
Absolutely, all day long you could.
You know, it's big. We have an ego stage out front.
Yeah. Saw that.
People.
We never went out on it.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you want to intimidate a band, tell them they got to put somebody out here on the ego stage.
Nobody in our band wants to be out in front. We all just like to kind of be on the same level together.
Yeah. And so it's really fun to watch them figure out what they're going to do with that area.
Uh-huh.
And then we have a pretty high drum riser.
Yeah.
And drummers historically like to hide.
You can't hide there.
You cannot hide there.
Nope.
And so it's interesting. And
I don't know if you've done this yet, but it's another cool feature you have is that stage is plenty big enough to have two bands and a solo person, or a duo. So you could easily have a festival out there and have one band actively playing while the other one is transitioning and go back and forth and have this solo person over here as a buffer.
Right.
You could have a full music festival out there using only one stage, and that is unheard of.
Well, the interesting thing, and we hadn't talked about this, we did a 3B Fest back in May.
Okay. 3B.
3B. Buds, Booze, and Beats.
Buds.
Booze.
Got it. Booze, got it. Beats. Oh, beats. Yeah, of course.
Music.
Beats. I immediately went to Dwight Schrute and his beat farm. I immediately went.
No eating beats. Rhythm.
Yeah.
And we were open for 12 hours, and we did 18 bands.
18 bands and and how many hours?
12 hours.
12 hours. That's incredible. Did you do it that way? Did you have one on, one off?
No, we made them. When the next one came, they had to grab all their stuff and run off the stage.
Wow.
And pack it up on the ground outside. So it was chaotic.
Oh, sure.
But we probably should have done it a different way, like you're talking about, but that's not the way, we did it.
Mm-hmm.
And because there was a lot of single acts and duos and such as that. So, we had some 5-piece bands, maybe 2 of them. And if you stagger them, then you got a little more room to be moving around. So that was an interesting day. We had, as an agritourism venue, as an agritourism farm, we invite people out there. We got to get them out there to see what a cane farm is and what we make.
Yeah.
So we said, well, let's do a 3B Fest.
Yeah.
And if you look around Highlands County at all the dispensaries, you're like, oh, they're here for a reason. So that must be a huge population.
Sure.
And So we put together this festival, and I think we had 9 dispensaries there.
No kidding.
9 dispensaries, 6 food trucks,
Yeah.
and we had 2 medical doctors there. So, and I will tell you, that group of people, they all like to drink,
Mm-hmm.
and we had a good time out there. And it's we had a good time. I mean, it was our biggest day post COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So we attracted a lot of people out there, and everybody was very kind and behaved, and it was fun.
I'm sure it was a very mellow crowd. I'm sure it was a very loving, mellow, kind crowd.
Right, and which kind of surprised me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't partake,
Right.
and I found it interesting. I thought it would be a community service to people that don't want to just walk into a distillery or a dispensary.
Mm-hmm.
They could leisurely walk around and talk to people, and then and decide where they fall in that
Mm-hmm.
whole arena. You
That's
go
right.
talk to a doctor, get a prescription, and of course we're not allowed to sell out there.
Mm-hmm.
You had to order it from the app,
Mm-hmm.
but they could deliver it.
Got it.
So that's what we did. Now, the interesting thing is Highlands County took exception to all this.
Mm.
And we're chugging through the court system with them.
Where are you at with that? So
Well,
they took exception.
They took exception, and
What does that mean?
they didn't like what we were going to do.
Okay.
And and we can really get deep in the weeds on this, so to speak.
So I get they took exception to it. I know what that means literally, but what about it? What about it were they not happy with? Because your agro-tourism, your state.
The county, well, first of all, they started off with an anonymous complaint.
Okay.
That was turned in by Commissioner Elwell. He turned in an anonymous complaint.
Okay.
Saying, hey, you all need to check this out. Well, Florida law does not allow the county to initiate an investigation on an anonymous complaint.
Gotcha. Did not know that.
Unless there's imminent danger to somebody.
Okay.
Well, they started in on me 14 days ahead of the event.
Mm-hmm.
So there was nothing imminent.
Sure.
Something that's imminent is I see the hurricane coming.
Right.
Not, it might be a rough summer. So they told me that I probably needed to get a permit. And I'm like, why do I need a permit? I've had 300 events out there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we think you should because you don't grow pot out there. I'm like, well, that doesn't matter. The state of Florida agritourism laws and on and on and on. And I argued to no avail.
Mm-hmm.
And I was uncomfortable. And then somebody in the zoning department, Leah Sauls, talked real nice to me one day and said, Don, you're going to have a lot of people out there. It would be nice that the first responders, if we all knew what was going on out there. Mm-hmm. I said, Leah, I'll fill out the application. I'll make you happy. So I did.
Mm-hmm.
And as I filled it out, I realized that I didn't need to fill it out.
Mm-hmm.
I did not need to fill it out, but I did. Well, that was kind of a mistake on my part because now they have a permit application from me,
mm-hmm.
which gives them a wide degree of latitude. Mm-hmm. And they started in on me. Mm-hmm. What about this? What about that? What about the other? And I answered them all. And then they're like, we need $1 million liability insurance policy indemnifying Highlands County. Even though we're on private property, they wanted $1 million, and their logic was, and this is on the record, that people were going to be out there getting high,
mm-hmm.
they were going to be leaving, there was going to be terrible car wrecks, and people were going to die, and they wanted to be sure that I had insurance to cover all that chaos.
Let me ask you this, because I'm asking out of ignorance, but I sit in the city council meetings, and every time somebody wants to do an event one of their things is, yes, we're going to let you do the event, but you have to provide an insurance policy naming the city, blah, blah, blah. My band is playing at SFSC in October. I have to provide $1 million insurance policy so that the college isn't, I have to do that too. So I kind of thought that was standard operating procedure to have to provide a certificate of insurance for an event like that.
If you're on public property.
If you're on public property.
So you won't see the 301 have to insure the city of Sebring for an event on our property.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
But Highlands County just jumped over the rail and says, no, we don't care if it's on private property. You have to. We won't. I'm like, it's in your own ordinance says it's for public property.
Mm-hmm.
And matter of fact, the assistant or the risk manager for Highlands County wrote to the county attorney and said, "Why are we worried about insurance? It's on private property."
Mm-hmm.
So they were aware of all that, and it didn't stop Highlands County. So I wouldn't provide the insurance to them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm self-insured.
Mm-hmm.
And so they denied the permit.
Okay.
They denied the permit 14 hours before the event.
That would throw a wrench into the works.
And which did not allow me time to affirm what they have done and counter it or whatever. So we went ahead with the event.
Mm-hmm.
We went ahead with the event. I knew where we stood. So the county came out with code enforcement and sheriff's deputies to see if we were having it and such as that.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, okay. And they took a picture or two and left. Monday morning, they called me before a magistrate.
Mm.
So they already had that in the works. They had already created the paperwork to take me basically to court. It goes to an independent magistrate.
Okay.
For having an event without a permit. Because I didn't have insurance that's not required by any Florida law ordinance for an event
mm-hmm.
that I should have never been asked for a permit for.
Gotcha.
From a complaint that should have never been enacted on.
Gotcha. I'm following you.
Yeah. So the county has a lot of explaining to do.
Gotcha. And the magistrate, is that one of our judges?
No, the magistrate is an attorney in private practice, and he comes, Highlands County pays him.
Okay.
So you can see which way that's going to go.
Gotcha.
And we went through the hearing, and the magistrate rightly sided with Highlands County.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I had the event. No, I didn't meet their requirement.
Mm-hmm.
It was a requirement that I shouldn't have been required to do.
Mm-hmm.
So he sided with the county, no fine.
Okay.
And I have a very nice attorney, and she's very good at what she does, and we knew we were probably going to lose this. But she read into the record everything we needed to go, and we have filed with the circuit court.
Okay.
And to appeal the decision.
So did you say there was no fine?
No fine.
Okay, so why would that not just be at that point a sleeping dog and it's over? You didn't get fined. They found in favor of the county, but there was no fine. So why wouldn't that be the end of it?
Because in the order, they specifically said I'm to have no events.
Oh, okay.
No events out there unless I get the proper permit. So they have circumvented state law.
Okay.
Telling me that I can't do anything out there unless I have one of their permits if they think I need the permit. And that's just...
So then they can nitpick it.
Then they can nitpick it and have a reason not to do it and such as that.
And now you're going to a circuit court.
Now it's going to a circuit court.
So this wouldn't actually be an appeal because the first one wasn't in court. So would this be your first court appearance after the magistrate?
Correct.
Okay.
And it's not called an appeal. It's basically a review of all the evidence,
mm-hmm.
and that's why my attorney was busy reading into the record,
mm-hmm.
things like the legislative intent
mm-hmm.
of a statute, because all that goes through committees, and all that is public record and recorded. What a senator or a House of Representatives person is intending this bill to do.
Gotcha.
So if there's a misinterpretation, you go back to the legislative intent.
So this could have some, depending on how this goes, this could have a ripple effect and some ramifications for policies in general, not just here, but also throughout the state.
That is correct, because this is going to be case law.
Got it.
When this comes down, and we're pretty sure that they're going to rule in our favor, because this was such a classic, huge overreach for the county.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the internal emails from the county attorney in her broken English that she writes in, and in all caps on the email, no pot and no bans. That's her terminology.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the county polished the letter they sent to me, but that's her attitude towards it.
Mm.
So we'll work through all that.
Very interesting. So you know all the commissioners, you know all the people involved. Is there any sense of, hey, Don, look, man, we know what you're doing, we get it, but our hands are tied, and we gotta do what we have to do because we have things that we have to follow. Is there a sense of wanting to work together to get this thing figured out, but everybody's kind of stuck in a corner?
I asked and cautioned some of the commissioners to just let this go before it ever went to the magistrate, and they gave me the song and dance that they had no authority to call it off.
Okay.
Which is absolutely untrue.
Okay.
They will tell you random things to wash their hands of the situations.
Mm-hmm.
We can't stop it now. And that was not any kind of court proceeding. They could have stopped it anytime they wanted to.
Very interesting stuff. What it makes, it's all going to come out in court, but part of me just wants to put a wrestling ring in Fireman's Field and throw you and Don Elwell in there for 10 minutes. This episode of the Havery Show is being brought to you by Heartland Tax and Accounting, 863-385-5020.
Well, Don, I've met with Don Elwell. I showed him after the magistrative hearing. I met with him, and the report he was given from the county attorney was, we won and it's all good and nothing's going to be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's what she told Don Elwell.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, Don, really? There's no fine? And our attorney was reading everything into the record for us to appeal.
Mm-hmm.
And I handed him internal emails between the county attorney and zoning and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed him. I said, even your own risk manager said, why are we worried about insurance?
Mm-hmm.
Your own county administrator says, why are we worried about pot? That's not, we don't have any, he has to abide by state laws, so they were warned to leave it alone, but they wouldn't.
Very interesting. This is a deep plot, Don.
Well, it gets more interesting as you go, because I, making noise to Don Elwell, he pulled up the text that he was sent by a lady with a screenshot of some of the advertising, and she was the one that complained.
That was the anonymous complaint.
That was the anonymous complaint. Now, the interesting thing is we asked specifically in our public records request everything.
Mm-hmm.
We asked for everything. Guess what? We didn't get Don Elwell's text. We didn't get it. He showed it to me. Mm-hmm. We asked for it. He told us that he sent it to the county. You can decide if that's true or not. But we were not given that information even when we asked for it.
Wow.
So there's a lot of muckraking going on.
Sure. Well, I would love to, I would love to have, you and Don together on the show or something, but I doubt that would ever happen, but it would be cool. It would be cool to be able to have you guys counterpoint, and understand each other and all that kind of stuff. Almost like a mediation kind of thing.
Yeah,
I'm friends with Don. I'm friends with you. I like Harrison. I want a situation where everybody wins, and I think that that's ultimately what we all want. It's just, how do we get there? So in your case, how do we get to a situation where everybody wins?
Well, the county was so rabid about this that they went against their own administration.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a problem. And when we got the order, it took about a week to come through the mail. Before we got it, the county, that was a Friday afternoon hearing. By Monday morning, 45 minutes after the courthouse opened, they did not tell me where to pay the fine or who to write the check to. They immediately ran across the street to the courthouse and recorded a lien against me.
A lien?
Yes.
Oh, wow, this is getting even.
Yeah, 45 minutes. I was not even given a chance to write a check.
So I thought there was no fine. What was
There was no fine, but the county and their zealous selves recorded a lien against me.
Okay, help me with this one. Because if there was no fine levied, then what did you need to pay them for?
I needed to pay them $580 for their investigation.
Okay.
And that was the only money that came out of my pocket.
Gotcha.
But the order, I didn't get the order for a week later. They'd only recorded the lien 5 days before.
Okay. Oh, so you didn't even have a chance to pay the 500 and something bucks.
Much less, I know that
or protest it.
Yeah. Well, I know the dollar amount. I don't know who to write the check to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where to take it to, and because it is not in the order.
Mm-hmm.
So they create their own self-fulfilling prophecies.
Mm-hmm.
Let's record a lien. We know he won't get here in time because we didn't tell him where to go.
Yeah.
So they can make things up,
sure,
and make sure that it becomes true.
Gotcha. Very interesting stuff. There's a whole lot for me to learn. And, I'm a guy that plays guitar and sings and entertains people. I don't know jack about law and ordinances and all this other stuff. So this is all very fascinating to me.
Well, I don't know. I'm really limited on what I know.
Mm-hmm.
I know what it should look like.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's alcohol statutes or the land use statutes. And I'm fortunate that I have really good attorneys that are friendly to me and to what I do, and I can call them at any time and ask them a question. So I'm pretty damn sure where I am before I open my mouth.
Yeah.
So
well, that kind of goes without saying with everything that you've done and everything that you've been able to do. You're a thoughtful person who does due diligence, because you wouldn't be successful in all of these things if you weren't. So, yeah. I get that.
So I follow the law. I can't. I've got hundreds of thousands of dollars tied up in everything that I have, and I'm not going to lose it. I'm not going to lose it for some silly reason. I follow the damn rules and the laws, and I understand them.
Yep.
And I spend a reasonable amount of time educating people. And on the Sugarsand Facebook page, I stated that I was going to not clutter it up, but maybe every week or two we'll address some of the rule of law and laws in the federal code that I operate under so that people can learn.
Yep.
And I posted the first one last week, and it was 10 pages. Unfortunately, it's 10 pages, and it explains how the alcohol works in the state of Florida. So if somebody could read that, interpret it,
10 pages.
10 pages, they'd be in really good shape.
Yeah.
But then you would understand how the system works. And that could be a whole nother subject there.
Sure. Oh yeah, for sure. Well, the system is convoluted sometimes by design, which I don't like to think of, but law is a necessary evil.
Right.
I don't know how else to say it.
It is. You have to have it, but laws are intended to keep bad people under control.
Sure.
The problem with laws, it does not afford us law-abiding citizens to do what we want to do.
Yeah.
It's just for the bad guy.
Yeah.
But it's the alcohol laws, and if you'll think about it, Florida was one of the states. Of course, the whole United States had prohibition, no alcohol. We're allowed to sell it. And when that the 21st Amendment came in that repealed prohibition, that would have been in the 30s.
Mm-hmm.
So most of our laws were written back in the 30s.
Yeah.
Went before computers and electronic data and everything else. So it's kind of an antiquated system.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very hard to change old laws because now they're almost 100 years old and people have business models based on this is how the law works.
Yeah.
And they don't want it to change.
Yeah. I have a notion, Don, that we have not reached the end of our discussion, and I think that we might need to have a part 2 on this one because I'm really curious, and now people are going to watch and listen. They're going to want to know how this turned out too. So, would you consider coming back and having another chat when we when you get to the maybe not end, but to give us an update?
Well, yeah, I can do that. We filed our appeal,
Mm-hmm.
and the county has 70 days to, or they have up to 70 days to file an appeal
Mm-hmm.
or a rebuttal.
Yep.
So we'll find out if the county is going to spend more of everybody's tax dollars to fight us on this, or if they're just going to let it die a slow death and
Sure.
let it go away.
Sure.
So we've done what we need to do, and the clock's clicking
Yep.
on them.
Well, let me say this. Let me say this to our viewers and listeners in all openness and fairness. If there are people in the county who would like to rebut any of this, you're welcome to come on the show too, and I'll give you airtime the same way that I've given Don airtime. And at some point, hopefully, maybe representatives from the county and Don will sit together and we'll sit here and eat a pizza or have one of your drinks or something like that. And we all give each other a hug and say water under the bridge and let's move forward together now. What do you think of that?
Absolutely. I welcome the opportunity to talk and have people understand what I'm trying to do.
That'd be great. I mean, because understanding is at the root of everything.
Correct.
When you understand each other, you can live with each other. And if you can't understand each other, you have to be able to listen. I've got five guidelines. This is the Havery 5 guidelines for any relationship, regardless of what it is. To be able to listen, to hear, to accept, to understand, and to encourage. But it all begins with being able to listen and hear. And as you know, those are two different things too.
Correct. They are.
An understanding is built on those two things.
Well, the understanding is the knowledge.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
And that's what people miss is why, how can this be true?
Yeah.
How can that be true? How did this happen?
Yeah.
And that's where your understanding and knowledge comes from.
Exactly. And I probably will be labeled as a fence sitter, and I don't care. The bottom line is, you're my friend. I respect you as my friend, and as a businessman who's doing really good things for downtown Sebring, my home, and for Highlands County. I also respect. A lot of the commissioners are personal friends of mine, and I respect their public service, and I admire what they do, and I just want us all to get along and do good for each other by serving each other in whatever capacity we're called to serve. That's my heart. That's my goal.
Well, and I understand and I appreciate that. And I think, the county's understanding or knowledge of the agritourism is where all this starts falling apart.
Well, you know what? Let's maybe somebody watching there who works for the county would like to come on and explain this in a way that I can understand it. And who knows? Maybe there'll be a little bridge. Maybe there'll be a little bridge will happen from this meeting today.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens.
I would like that.
Absolutely.
In the meantime, thank you for everything you're doing, and thank you for hiring me to play at your places. I appreciate that too. I enjoy so much playing at the 301 and at Sugarsand. So,
okay,
thank you.
I appreciate you having me here, and we got you on the schedule some more. So
yes, sir.
We'll be seeing you.
This is good. This is exciting stuff. This is the kind I've had. It'll air on Saturday. This will be episode 35.
Okay.
All of the episodes so far have been very fact-filled, very personal information, get to know, something like that. I've always wanted to have a little bit of grit in my podcast. I always wanted to have a little bit of controversy in my podcast, a little bit of thought-provoking conversation that maybe is going to rub some people wrong, but that's kind of part of what I want to do here too.
Okay.
And so you've helped make that happen a little bit today, and I appreciate your candor and your openness. So thank you for that.
Okay. Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
All right. Thanks,
you, Don.
Yes, sir.
Always a pleasure.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. The Havery Show has been brought to you by Heartland Tax and Accounting, 863-385-5020.